In this episode, we start with the plans and policies that help an organization turn security expectations into everyday behavior. A policy tells people what the organization requires, while a plan explains how the organization prepares for or responds to a larger situation. You will see both types throughout Security Plus SY0801 because real security is not only built with tools, it is also built with decisions that are written down before pressure arrives. When a disruption, a lost device, a privacy request, or a security incident happens, people need more than good intentions. They need approved direction that explains who is responsible, what must happen, what must be protected, and what limits apply. These documents do not remove judgment, but they make judgment safer by giving you a known path to follow when the situation matters. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is part of our companion study series. The first book is a detailed study guide that explains the exam and helps you prepare for it with confidence. The second is a Kindle-only ebook with 1,000 flashcards you can use on your mobile device or Kindle for quick review. You can find both at Cyber.Me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A good way to think about plans and policies is to separate direction from preparation. A policy sets a rule or expectation, such as how company devices may be used, how data must be classified, or how access is approved. A plan prepares the organization for a major condition, such as a disaster, a business interruption, or a security incident. Both should connect to standards and procedures, but they sit slightly higher in the security program. A password standard may define acceptable password requirements, while an access control policy explains the larger rules for who should receive access and why. A runbook may guide one response activity, while an incident response plan explains the larger response process. This distinction helps you avoid treating every document as the same thing. Plans and policies are about control, accountability, readiness, and shared expectations across the organization. A business continuity plan, BCP, focuses on keeping the organization operating when something serious disrupts normal work. The disruption could be a cyber attack, a fire, a power outage, a supply chain problem, a severe weather event, or the sudden loss of an important facility. The BCP asks what business functions must continue, what resources are needed, who makes decisions, and how the organization keeps serving people during the disruption. It is not limited to technology. It may include staffing, communications, alternate locations, manual workarounds, vendor coordination, and leadership approvals. You can think of it as the plan for keeping the mission alive while conditions are not normal. In cybersecurity, this matters because a technical incident can quickly become a business problem. If systems are down but payroll, patient care, customer support, or manufacturing must continue, the BCP helps leaders decide what matters first. A disaster recovery plan, DRP, is more focused on restoring technology and services after a disruption. While the BCP is about keeping the organization functioning, the DRP is about bringing systems, applications, data, and infrastructure back to an acceptable state. It may address backups, recovery sites, replacement equipment, restoration order, communication between teams, and the expected time to recover critical services. The DRP should reflect business priorities because not every system has the same importance. A public website, an internal reporting tool, a customer payment system, and an identity service may all matter, but they may not be restored in the same order. For the exam, remember that disaster recovery is usually narrower than business continuity. It supports continuity by restoring the technology that the business depends on, but it does not cover every business function by itself. The BCP and DRP should not be written and forgotten. They need reviews, exercises, and updates because organizations change constantly. New systems are added, vendors change, people move into new roles, and business priorities shift. A plan that was accurate 2 years ago may fail during a real event if contact lists are old, recovery steps depend on retired systems, or a key application was never added to the recovery order. Testing also helps reveal assumptions. A backup may exist, but the organization still needs to know whether it can be restored in time. A call tree may exist, but people still need to know whether the right people can be reached after hours. When you see questions about plans, think beyond the document itself. A plan is only useful if it is maintained, understood, practiced, and aligned with current business needs. A Bring Your Own Device (BYOD) policy explains whether people may use personally owned devices for work and what rules apply if they do. This can include phones, tablets, laptops, and sometimes other personal equipment. BYOD can be convenient because people may already have devices they like and know how to use, but it also creates security and privacy concerns. The organization may need to protect company email, documents, messaging, and applications on a device it does not fully own. The user may worry about personal photos, messages, and location data being exposed to company monitoring. A good BYOD policy should define eligibility, acceptable use, security requirements, support boundaries, lost device reporting, and what happens when employment ends. The goal is to protect organizational data without pretending that a personal device is the same as a company-owned device. An acceptable use policy, AUP, explains how organizational systems, networks, accounts, and devices may be used. It helps set boundaries before there is a problem. The AUP may cover personal use of company systems, prohibited activities, internet access, software installation, messaging, handling of sensitive data, and use of shared resources. It should be clear enough that a reasonable person understands what is allowed and what is not allowed. Without an AUP, enforcement can feel unfair or inconsistent because people may not know which behaviors cross the line. The AUP also protects the organization by documenting expectations. If someone uses company resources to store illegal content, harass another person, bypass controls, or run unauthorized services, the organization can point to the policy that already explained the boundary. For security work, acceptable use is about reducing preventable risk created by everyday behavior. A clean desk policy focuses on protecting information in physical workspaces. It may sound small compared with ransomware or cloud security, but exposed information can still create real risk. Papers left on a desk, sticky notes with passwords, unlocked drawers, visible badges, printed reports, and unattended removable media can all expose sensitive data. A clean desk policy usually expects people to secure documents, lock screens, store removable media properly, and avoid leaving confidential information where others can see or take it. This matters in offices, shared workspaces, reception areas, conference rooms, and home offices used for remote work. The policy is not about making a desk look perfect. It is about reducing opportunities for accidental disclosure, casual snooping, insider misuse, and theft. When you connect clean desk requirements to physical security, the idea becomes much easier to understand and remember. An incident response policy or incident response plan explains how the organization prepares for, identifies, manages, and recovers from security incidents. A security incident might involve malware, stolen credentials, unauthorized access, data exposure, denial of service, insider misuse, or suspicious activity that requires investigation. The document should define roles, reporting paths, escalation, communication rules, evidence handling, decision authority, and expectations for lessons learned after the event. It should also help people know when something is serious enough to report. This is important because early reporting can limit damage, while delayed reporting can let an incident spread. Incident response also needs coordination. Technical teams may investigate systems, leadership may make business decisions, legal staff may advise on notification duties, and communications staff may prepare approved messages. The policy keeps those moving parts from becoming chaos during a stressful event. That preparation protects both evidence and people. Data classification policies help the organization label information according to sensitivity and handling needs. Data may be public, internal, confidential, restricted, or described with another approved label set. The exact labels can differ by organization, but the purpose is the same. People need to know how sensitive the data is before they can protect it properly. A public brochure does not need the same protection as employee tax information, customer records, source code, or health data. Classification connects directly to retention, access control, encryption, sharing, storage, and disposal. Data retention policies explain how long information should be kept and when it should be removed. Keeping data too briefly can create legal, operational, or audit problems. Keeping data too long can increase privacy risk, breach impact, storage cost, and discovery burden if legal action occurs. Retention is a security issue because old data can still be stolen. Disposal policies explain how information and equipment are safely removed when they are no longer needed. Deleting a file is not always the same as securely disposing of the data, and throwing away old equipment can expose information if storage media is still readable. A disposal policy may cover shredding paper, wiping storage, destroying drives, returning leased equipment, sanitizing mobile devices, and documenting the process for sensitive assets. It should match the classification of the information. A public flyer and a drive containing personally identifiable information, PII, should not be handled with the same level of care. Disposal also applies to cloud storage, backups, and archived records. If data exists in many places, the organization needs a process that accounts for those places. The deeper lesson is that data protection does not stop when active use ends. Information remains a responsibility until it is properly retained, transferred, or destroyed. Access control policies define how people receive, use, review, and lose access to systems and data. This connects to identity, authorization, least privilege, approvals, role changes, account reviews, privileged access, and separation of duties. A strong access control policy should answer basic questions before access is granted. It should identify who can approve access, what business reason is required, how often access should be reviewed, and what happens when someone changes jobs or leaves the organization. It should also explain how privileged accounts are handled differently from normal accounts, because privileged access can change systems, view sensitive data, or disable safeguards. These rules matter because access is one of the most common paths to security failure. If too many people have access, if old accounts remain active, or if privileges are granted without review, sensitive systems become easier to misuse or compromise. Access control is not only a technical setting. It is a governance decision about trust, responsibility, and business need. Vulnerability disclosure policies explain how outside researchers, customers, employees, or partners can report security weaknesses safely and responsibly. Without a clear disclosure path, someone who finds a flaw may not know where to send the information, what details to include, or whether they might get in trouble for reporting it. A good policy defines the reporting channel, expected behavior, scope, communication process, and how the organization will handle submissions. It may also explain what testing is not allowed, especially if testing could disrupt systems or expose data. Privacy policies explain how personal information is collected, used, shared, protected, retained, and sometimes corrected or deleted. Privacy is closely related to security, but it is not identical. Security protects information from unauthorized access and misuse. Privacy focuses on proper handling of personal information and respect for the rights and expectations connected to that information. The main idea to carry forward is that plans and policies help security become organized instead of improvised. The BCP keeps business functions moving during disruption, while the DRP focuses on restoring technology and services. BYOD, AUP, and clean desk policies guide everyday behavior that can either reduce or increase risk. Incident response documents prepare the organization to act quickly and consistently when something goes wrong. Data classification, retention, disposal, access control, vulnerability disclosure, and privacy policies define how information, systems, and responsibilities should be handled across their life cycle. For Security Plus SY0801, you do not need to memorize one perfect version of every document. You need to recognize what each document is for and how it supports repeatable action. Good policies and plans give people clear expectations before the pressure begins.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit BareMetalCyber.com.